Good evening, and welcome to chapter two of Uphill Battle. I'm your host, Dion Hill, and what's up, son?
What's going on, Pops? What's up,
Uh,
everyone? Dallas.
if they only knew what we had to get through just to get on today.
Yeah,
Well,
well, things happen. Yeah,
yeah, technical difficulties behind the scenes.
it's all good. But
Uh,
at least we're here.
interesting week so
Yes, it
far.
was.
It's not over yet, but a lot of things going on. Um, Real quick, what was your feeling on this ceasefire, non-ceasefire? Who knows what it is? What's
Yeah,
going on between Israel and then now in Lebanon? I'm confused. One thing that I was confused about, and I don't know, but we ain't do any of this banter ahead of time, so please bear with us. About this. Did you see the UN vote about reopening the Strait of Hormuz and how it was
I
it was blocked by Russia and China?
of course it
So
was. I
it
didn't see that though.
so I should have I didn't get a chance to dig into it, but it was like 11-4, and those two was against. It's one of those things that has to be like a unanimous vote or type of for it to move forward.
I'm not sure. I think maybe because usually when things like that come out, so like on any kind of like resolution within the UN, it usually is like usually a couple of countries that don't like or like vote against it. So like I think there was like a I think there was a resolution to like declare that like food is a right or something like that as a human right.
Yeah.
Like and then like America and like Israel voted against it or something, so like it's stuff like that happens all the time, but in this situation specifically, it doesn't surprise me that Russia and China were the countries that voted against it because they are the ones who seem to like it's funny because they seem to gain the most from the situation
Hmm.
apart from any other country apart from that's not Iran, Israel, or America, but they also seem to like stand to lose a little bit, specifically China when it comes to oil because they get the majority of their oil from that area and it goes through the Strait of Hormuz.
Hmm.
So it's interesting, but I do want to dig into that. But overall, on the ceasefire and everything else, and Iran should be a topic that we touch on and like we really go deep into, because it's a lot going on and like it's a lot going on. I have a lot of thoughts, and it just perfectly encapsulates where the Republican Party is, the Democratic Party is, where American policy, government, and the American empire currently is. So we should dive into that. But on the ceasefire, it's who knows how long it's actually going to last. They say it's going to
If
be for
it's
2 weeks. And I do want to touch on parts of the Iran situation that unfolded this week a little later on, because Trump is just out of his mind. I mean, like I like literally, and they've been saying this since 2015, but now it's becoming like no, like mentally something's off. And whether they're saying like it's dementia or something else, it's not a safe time for Americans and for Iranians at all.
and the craziest, I was listening at one of my content creators on that point, and Reese Colbert, she has a Sirius XM show, and she like stated like she knew this whole Tuesday deadline was a farce
Yeah,
because no one takes them seriously. If it was taken seriously by the other world leaders,
yeah,
Russia and China would have reacted,
hmm,
and they would have daggone reacted whereas though they would have been pointing shit towards us
yeah,
and setting stuff off. So when it was when there was no maneuvers or anything, and I don't know about you. I went around along my day like it was a normal, regular day, and that this person was talking, selling wolf tickets and on some bullshit because I can't keep up with all the stuff that's actually put on True Social and this, that, and
Yeah,
other
yeah,
because it's used as a distraction from the the thievery and the shit that they doing somewhere else. Whereas though you focus on that because they're robbing you, they robbing the back door somewhere doing something.
I
But
think it's
let's
a mix
get
of
it.
both.
I mean, huh?
I think it's a mix of both. I think like I do think he's serious. And I think he's serious because, which I touched on last week, I will touch on once we dive into the conflict a little further. Um, this is Israel's war, and he is one
Yeah.
thousand percent in the pocket. Not like yes, financially, but not even specifically financially. Just like influence wise, he is directly influenced by Netanyahu and Israel right now. So they are it's Israel and Trump who are pulling the strings and doing all of this. And we shouldn't I don't think we sh- I don't think we should discount anything at all. Again, this is a guy that doesn't care about what his legacy is. He just wants to have a legacy. And for Netanyahu and the Israeli government, this is a biblical fight that in a fight for
Oh yeah,
survival
absolutely.
that they are engaging in. And for the Iranians now, they took out their leadership, their first wave of leadership, their second wave of leadership, their third wave of leadership, and like they
Allegedly.
yeah, allegedly, but the Iran is also in an existential battle right now. It's for their survival, and Israel thinks it's for their survival as well. So when he sent out, which again I want to touch on later, when he sent out that thing on Truth Social saying like an entire civilization is going to die, yeah, that should be taken seriously. One, but also for that to come out of the mouth or the fingers of the president of the United States, it's nasty and it's disgusting, and the world separate from the Republican Party and the people that support him today, the world is not going to look at the country the same after one that comment. But they were looking at it sideways off of a lot of the things that we've been doing pre-Trump. I will say pre-Trump, but also definitely after Trump. Um, yeah, it's gonna. But again, we can dive into that another time. But it's a lot going on.
Yeah, yes, it is. But let's get to what we want to discuss. Go on. What's our initial engagement? What we got going on locally? Somewhere across the country, we look at our local uh, politics that can actually affect you, maybe someone you know, but it could actually be affect you right now or very interesting that you see. What you got for or on the local front?
Yeah, I have. Well, it's one thing, but it's actually a couple of things, and it's a couple of things I want to touch on. But this past Tuesday, there were some important elections that went on across the country. Specifically, I want to target two states in Georgia and Wisconsin. Um, was
It's
that something that you wanted to
crazy.
talk about?
That was that. Just so the audience know, we don't discuss this ahead of time. This is something what we actually bring to one another to surprise one another. And I dug into that also, so we're talking about the same thing. So go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So I'm sure that we'll probably touch on different, probably the same things,
Probably.
but different topics that come out of that. But just I can just preview it. So Georgia and Wisconsin, they both held elections on Tuesday. In both states, Georgia and Wisconsin, they voted for Trump in 2016 and in 2024. Battleground states as well. Battleground states. So looking at Georgia specifically, so this election was in the 14th congressional district, and this stretches from like parts of the Atlanta suburbs all the way up to like the Tennessee border by Chattanooga. And this district, it used to be held by Marjorie Taylor Greene, who the most pro-Trump, one of the most pro-Trump representatives or just figures in not only the country but specifically within Congress. She championed everything that he had going on, was lockstep behind him 1,000% for 99% of issues up until he got reelected for a second term. And even though he ran on releasing the Epstein files, once he got into power, he decided, no, that's actually not what we're going to do. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, this was her breaking point. Not anything else, not any other policy, just the refusal to release the Epstein files. So she basically saw the writing on the wall, and she decided that she was going to resign from her seat. She for sure was not going to win re-election in the district. The district voted for Trump. It was like a plus 37 district in the 2024 election when he ran against Kamala Harris. She actually won the district. She pulled a little bit behind him. She won by 25 points in 2024. But again, seeing the writing on the wall and just having that break from the MAGA movement, she decided not to run for re-election. So there was a special election that happened a couple of weeks ago, and there was about 17 people in the field. It was 17 people running for that seat, but no one won a plurality, so the election went into a runoff, and it was between a district attorney in Georgia, Clay Fuller, who's a Republican, and then the Democratic candidate Sean Harris. In the runoff election on Tuesday, Clay Fuller ended up winning the seat, and he was endorsed by President Trump going into the runoff. And in the debates a couple of weeks ago, he said that he basically doesn't disagree with Trump on anything. He is going to be just like Marjorie Taylor Greene was up until she was no longer in Congress, 1,000% behind Donald Trump. Anything that he does is good. And I want to touch on one point specifically before going over to
I want to interject something that was very important about the whole Marjorie Taylor Greene portion about that.
Yeah.
One, you need not to leave out the fact that she wanted to run for Senate, and Trump would not endorse her to run for Senate against John Ossoff.
Mm-hmm.
That's what set her off about being pissed, because she wanted to move forward in her career, and everything that she rode with him totally, and he basically said he wouldn't endorse her.
Yeah.
And also with her retiring, she retired because she said because she started going against Trump, she started getting a lot of hate mail and things from the MAGA movement. But she retired just enough time to receive her congressional pension. She got right. She stayed as long as to get past the finish line.
Yeah.
And then she retired.
But yeah, because
not to mention she became a multi-millionaire from her time in Congress, which
that's common.
She wasn't.
Yeah.
Before going through the halls of Congress. So a lot of people and I know you weren't doing that, but a lot of people like to say that she's seen the light and she's talking real positive and everything like that. Little too late, but it's really self-preservation, because I'm telling you, I'm sure she knows for a fact that there's going to be life after MAGA. Yeah. So she is flipping it. So whereas though she can say she is falling on the right side on this, that. And I believe Brian, the current governor, is about to run out in Georgia.
Yeah, and that's we can come back to it because I want to talk about
it. So I'm pretty sure Brian Kemp, I'm pretty sure she'll be probably throwing her hat in the ring for that. But I think it was really important that the audience, for people that don't know, that's not deep in the weeds, that these things are actually what accompanied her,
Yeah,
and she didn't just retire. She made sure she got to the day. I think it was like 5 years and 1 day or something to that extent. Then
yeah,
she resigned. So now she gets her pension for the rest of her life from Congress. Sorry, dude. So we finish
yeah,
up. This was a big district. And also, I don't know if you want to mention this because, but I haven't. They had to spend a lot of money in
yeah,
this little 14th district.
yeah,
They had to spend $4 million to defend the seat that they had won by 37 points.
yeah,
This was the biggest swing in history ever.
yeah.
20, what was it? 20 25 points?
Yeah, so yeah, that was 25 points. So and so just to dive in, I was going to come back to that, but to go in on that a little bit, and that's what I didn't grab the quote, but I heard Sean Harris had in his like concession speech, basically to supporters. He had mentioned like the amount of money that was brought into this race, and he was like, look at this, like this is a again, it is. I don't know if I mentioned at the top, it is the most Republican leaning district in the state.
In the
So
state. Yes.
yeah, so the gains that the Democratic Party were able to make, not only just in this runoff election, but also in the special election that happened a couple of weeks ago, they're huge gains. I do want to touch on something, but I'll come back to that in a second. But something I wanted to point out about Clay Fuller, um, and just going with the Marjorie Taylor Greene again, she was as pro MAGA as you can be. And now Fuller is saying that that's who he's going to be. So that's part of the reason that Trump endorsed him is because he basically came out and said, I don't have my own thoughts. I am not my own person. This man is my guiding compass. He's going to decide what policies that I agree with or that I support. And that's it's in line with this entire Trump project, going all the way back to
It's
2015. And it's funny
a
because
call.
yeah, literally today he sent out another message on Truth Social, his social media platform, and he called out Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alex Jones. These are the most pro-conservative, pro-Trump, pro-MAGA people that there are. Even if you want to say, I'll say, hold on. Even if you want to say Megyn Kelly had her disagreements with him, Tucker Carlson, ever since the 2020 election, not before, but ever since the 2020 election, had been having, or after, been having some disagreements with him. And then same things, pieces here and there with Candace Owens. But overall, they have been very, very pro-Trump for the most part, for both of his administrations and all the way through. And if now they can be, and I didn't necessarily get the entire quote, but he basically called them losers and said that they want Iran to have nuclear weapons because they're morons and they're people with low IQs. And it just goes to show you that anyone can be a target, even if you go along with 99% of what he's doing, just like Marjorie Taylor Greene. If you publicly speak out against anything, it's like,
One
no,
thing.
you should never have been taken serious about it. And it's just crazy because the Republican Party, and they're doing it to themselves, but the Republican Party is becoming less about any specific policy, and it's more about whatever Donald Trump thinks is the right thing to do is what we're going to back and support. And that is idiotic, it's anti-American, but it is the modern Republican Party. But you can go ahead and say something about it.
It's crazy that you say that because, and you won't remember this because, I mean, we're going back. You weren't, you were a child. But the Republican Party had a come to reckoning or a come to Jesus meeting. Oh, wow. Jesus meeting. Um, when Obama won,
Hmm.
and they said, we have to reach out to Black people, we need to reach out to minorities, we need to actually change our whole direction and compass to try to, you know, bring in, the Black and the brown people. We can't be an all white party. We're not going to win elections by doing it this way. We won't have a coalition. And they vacated that whole strategy. Because remember, when, right, to counter the vote of Barack Obama getting elected, they wind up putting Michael, the chairman of their Republican. They wound up Michael. He's on MSNBC.
Black guy,
The former, huh?
the
The
black
black
guy.
guy. He's the
Yes, I believe.
former lieutenant.
Yeah.
He was
Hmm.
lieutenant governor of Virginia. I can't think of his name right now. It just I blanked on it. But that was in reaction. Donald Trump picked up, and I will say this to the day that I'm not here. The only reason there is a Donald Trump is because it was a Barack Obama for eight
Hmm.
years. It's the only reason. Because no matter what, white folk on the greatest scale, they racist. And they had the concept of where as though they thought they was losing their superiority because, you know, a black man was in office for 8 years.
Hmm.
And and it was and granted, I have my qualms with that black man that was in office for 8 years because he was he was the president of the United States.
Yeah.
And guess what? He did he did he knew what the assignment was about being the president of the United States. It might have been a lot of daggone white liberals, and we wanted to because we talk about liberal, considered the progressive, a lot of moderates, a lot of centrists, and he wasn't my president. And,
Yeah.
and for I mean, for my cause, he was the president of the United States. And the misconception is a lot of people that look like us and look like him thought he was the president for us, and we were going to get something and get more advancement. And that's not what, as one of the popular creators say, influencers, FT Signifier said, he Obama was a op, and anybody that is into actually the advancement of you know black and brown causes, you would know that he was the president of the United States and he did the job that the president of the United States was supposed to do. So, and don't get me wrong, I say that with the utmost respect in the sense where as though policy wise, I don't agree with a lot of things that he did. But
Yeah.
and I brought this up to my sister before, but I said I never lost sleep when
Yeah.
that man was in office, though,
Yeah.
because I never thought that this country was looked upon as a travesty and outright disrespectful. And I think one of the big things that you brought up a few minutes ago that's very important is, and a lot of people are going to have to dissect this, no matter who comes about in 3 years or whatever. This is decades worth of cleanup work when it comes. You screwed over your allies.
Yeah.
You all the countries are looking at this country like, how the fuck did y'all do this for a second time?
Hmm.
Are y'all that dumb? Are y'all that stupid? Because people don't understand. I don't even think people in this country, to a lot of times, people like you and I do, understand the whole electoral college thing
Hmm.
and not understanding how somebody can have, the majority of votes and not win.
Hmm.
So it's like, how did y'all? And it's so crazy. I don't know if it's you or I mean, I don't know if you noticed this, and I'm pretty sure you did. I don't know if we even had this conversation when you was here. It's like, do people just forget that he had a presidency? for 4 years?
Yep.
Dude, people don't pay attention to the reign of 45 because he never discussed it.
No, they
It's
don't.
like invisible. And
Yeah.
so it's like he was the new candidate when he was running in 24. Like, did I just wake up in some, I don't know, some alcoholic coma dream? 'Cause I swore he was president for 4 years before this.
Yeah. Yeah, he was, and then they, like you said, they just, I don't know if it's as much they choose to ignore it as much as and something that I think that most people can observe with the second Trump presidency, especially the second campaign was, or the third campaign, um, but in the lead up to 2024, he went on a lot of like platforms, like podcasts. He was on Joe Rogan. He was on
Hmm.
Boss.
Yes.
He was because he that was the demographic of people he was trying to get, him showing up to all the UFC fights, him constantly being around, like again, influencers and younger people being involved in all these different conversations. He went on the Andrew Schultz's podcast, different venues like this. He was going to try to whitewash his image. Basically, it was like, no, I can't be
Yeah.
the demagogue that they're saying I am, because here I am, kicking it and laughing with Joe Rogan, who not everyone, but a lot of people like. So it's like he can't be that bad. He can't be the demagogue that they're saying that he is. So it was a coordinated effort to try to make him seem cool and popular, especially and with a lot of the people that watch those shows. So white men who feel like for some reason their country is being taken away from them, whether it's by immigrants, by DEI, by woke, whatever the case is. They were like, no, like we're gonna go with the cool guy. We're gonna go with the guy that looks cool, that gets shot in the ear and then gets right back up as if nothing's wrong, puts his fist up. It's stuff like that. It just it's a coordinated effort to make you forget about the 4 years, make you forget about all the rhetoric, forget about all the campaign slogan and promises and stuff. Just no, it's on vibes, and that's what people are voting for. And that's why a lot of these people are now coming out and being like, "Oh my God, like I feel like we were lied to. I feel like that they lied to us. No one said that this was going to happen. We didn't think that we would ever do." Yes, you did. Like yes, you did. Like no, you weren't lied to. What it is
Oh,
just
did
like you
you
said.
see?
You're
You
just
did you
stupid.
see
You fell
frickin'
for it.
Frat? You see frickin' Frat? They were tugging on each other's fucking dicks the other day. Joe Rogan and Theo Von looking at each other like, I don't believe this. What are we on? And Theo Von's on there like, yo, we got this is bullshit. We shouldn't be in Iran. What's going on, bro? Like, I don't believe that we doing this and all this other. And I'm just looking at these people like, what? The checks aren't coming through no more?
That's
Is that
exactly.
what
Yep.
happened? Because
They're gone.
y'all all was for this.
Y'all
The
talked to him,
bottom
had
line
dinner with
is
him. Yeah.
the bottom line was this. They gonna say they people was getting the check. They gonna go with that whatever. They gonna talk about the he was on Theo Vaughn or somebody. I think Theo Vaughn said talking about they was talking about doing cocaine or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
um, like if you're a trash person, and I'm just calling like this because I'm sorry. One, if you're one subject voter or whatever. I hate when people say, "Oh, I only really care about the economy. I only care about the economy. I only care about my pocketbook." And there's a lot of black people that do the same thing.
Yeah. I think
Because
most
we're
people
not a
do.
monolith. It's a lot
Yeah.
about see, and this is what I get where as though y'all all on sucking this capitalism dick that y'all don't give a fuck about people.
Pause.
Y'all don't give a fuck about the whole reality of the whole society. People can be out here talking about I'm a capitalist, I'm just and all this. I'm gonna make my hustle, this, that, and other. But at the end of the day, and this is not what this show is because we gonna hit on capitalism. But capitalism is a system that's of me, and the individual's capital. It's not designed to make sure that the society as a whole comes up, and the
Yeah,
society of a whole is actually in a good space. You can be in a good space, and whereas though it makes it whereas though you and yours, your family, me, your family might be in a good space, but society is still screwed.
yeah,
And this all this it's been going on. It's been a coordinated effort for the last 45 years. It all started when when some wrinkly old man that was a fucking Republican governor of California became president after, you know, pretty much Iran took hostages back in 1979. All this been going on for this started 47 years ago. And then, so now dealing with the um the ramifications of things that have been going on forever, and so point A to point B to point C. Yeah, every every action gets a reaction, and Trump is a reaction. The mag, the MAGA movement, to taking over the MAGA. For one, MAGA is not the Republican Party. It has become the
no,
Republican Party.
yeah, but it's
And
not.
the craziest thing about that, just like when Obama was elected, when what was it? The Tea
The Tea
Party
Party.
took over the Republican Party. The
Yeah,
Republican Party is so weak, and I don't want to talk about it like for those who, and I will always reiterate this: I am not a Democrat. I am not. I do not. I am not. I used to be a Democrat a long time because I didn't know anything else. But like many people in my position, I know for a fact the only thing that I can do is I can have a conversation with Democrats and lead and talk to them about doing the right thing. And literally, as a progressive, as a left wing person, you have to be able, it has to come to a point where as though people that think like me have to take over the Democratic Party.
yeah,
And like MAGA is taking over the Republican Party, like the Tea Party, whereas though the progressive wing has to actually take it over.
yeah,
There is no room in the Republican Party for a person like me. I'm not Nick Cannon. So,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I I don't believe in this system of capitalism and this system that has been put in place for 250 years because it don't work.
yeah.
It don't work for everybody.
No.
And they have made when it did work, when it did have some type of way, because we talk about make America great again. We don't, because I don't know when the shit was ever great for my people. But when when it was where as though it was good for the working class person, for the everyday person, it was because of the tax structure and because people, the rich, actually paid their fair share. Don't stop. Hey, this is to my friends. This is to my relatives. Stop fucking saying they paid a lot of money already. They don't pay the percentage that you pay.
Yeah,
I don't. If you make $1 billion and and you pay $10 million, well they put out 10 million. That is like 1%. Learn math again. My grandfather had a sixth grade education and taught himself trigonometry. He became a fucking engineer. And you don't always just swear it on the system. Like get a book. They still have those things. And 2 plus 2 still equals 4. Stop saying that these people pay their fair share
They
when
don't.
they pay less the percentage in the people that you work for, the people that I work for. They don't pay their fair share. Yeah, they don't. Um,
Amen.
yeah, let's.
Yeah.
But we got stuck with, but some of the key also that's going to be interesting because that I believe that district up for in November.
Yeah. So he
So
he
it's
won the
just for
election.
now.
So yeah. So
It's just
he's
coming
coming
back
back.
up. It's just for
Yeah.
now.
So when Congress goes back into session, I believe it's next week. When they go back into session next week, he'll be sworn in. But he's basically he's just finishing the remainder of the term, which again is just up until November. So he's
Yeah,
still on the campaign trail. And I got to look, but I believe Sean Harris is also still running again in November as well. So again, it
I
is
was going to run.
it's the most Republican leaning district in the state. So he most likely will win re-election again in November. However, it's just the inroads that the Democratic Party has made, in that district. It's just, especially with everything that's going on within the Republican Party, from immigration to the war to the economy. It is to see Democrats making these kind of gains. It's really good, and honestly, that carries over to the conversation with Wisconsin, where
Yes,
also on Tuesday there was election in Wisconsin for the state Supreme Court.
many, many.
Yes, yes, and one of the races, liberal candidate Chris Taylor won a Supreme Court seat, and he won with over 60% of the vote, and nearly
That's a
every
she. It's a
county.
she.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's a
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
she.
sorry.
It's a female. It's a
She.
free. It's she.
Um,
It's Christelle is a female. Yeah.
yeah, but
It's it might be Christina or whatever. Yeah, but it's a female. Yeah.
yeah, nearly every
Yeah.
county in the state shifted to the left during this election, and specifically in which I want to come back to Georgia to in 1 second. And one of the most heavily Latino precincts, it's in Milwaukee South Side. She won the vote she won by like 91% of the vote, compared to Kamala Harris, who won with like 64% of the vote within that precinct in 2024, which again, going pairing that, which I can kind of just fast forward to, same thing within Georgia, and one of in that 14th district, the city's called, I believe it was Dalton. Sean Harris is the most it is the most Hispanic um, city within the district. It's a majority Hispanic city, and Sean Harris outperformed Kamala Harris did with Hispanic voters in that precinct. So he won 73% of the vote, which is 3 points better than he did a couple weeks ago in the special election, and it's fifty one
Right.
percent
Because it was just March
better
10th.
than yeah,
Yeah.
and it was 51% better than Kamala did in 2024, which is great news for the Democrats, especially because, like we had mentioned earlier, John Ossoff is running for re-election for the Senate, and also Democrats are hoping to flip the governorship this year as well because Brian Kemp is
Term limit. It's
yeah,
term
yeah,
limits.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
It's
the hope
been.
is
It's already been 8 years since that. Stacey. You that debacle when he stole the
Rose.
election 8 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah, 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 yeah. So I think it's just really important to highlight these elections because the Democratic Party, like I mentioned, they're making gains in Republican districts and Republican states, but also specifically with Hispanic voters, which Donald Trump he overperformed what he was expected to do with Hispanic voters in 2024, which is interesting considering the rhetoric about immigration and just them as a
Yeah.
whole. But it's
Hmm.
funny because now it's seen as like they're now revolting against that, which is again funny because this is no different than what he's doing is really not different than what he said he was going to do. It's just the fact that you actually see it. So it shouldn't take you seeing it to believe that he was going to do these things. He said everyone at the RNC, the Republican National Convention, they had signs that said mass deportations now. What do you think that means? What does that look like? It kind of looks like exactly what they're trying to do now. But I wanted to highlight these because, again, while the Republicans are becoming the party of Trump, again, as they have been since 2016, the Democrats have a real opportunity to start taking back power, but they need to not only be better than the Republicans are on policy, they need to be better than the Democrats have been on policy as well. But just to go through the breakdown of the House, so the current breakdown would be after this election, 219 for Republicans. One is an independent, but he caucuses with the Republicans, so we'll just count him as a
And
Republican.
why did he become an independent?
I'm not sure. I didn't see.
Oh, okay, okay. You're talking about the congressman that's in
From
California.
California, yeah.
He
It's a Kevin,
he's
something like that.
he became an independent because he because of mid the Republicans and Trump started a war, which with mid districting at the midpoint of the
The
year at
census.
the fifth year. Yeah, because
Yeah,
you usually go every 10 years to draw the lines.
yeah.
So California have basically drawn the lines, and whereas though they redistrict and they basically drew a lot of Republicans out of their district. So he became an independent because he don't like what the Republicans is doing. He don't like what the Democrats is doing. So I'm an independent voice, so he can just basically try to save his ass and keep his seat. But
Mm.
because like many Republicans, it's always a grift.
Yep.
It's always a grift.
Right on the money. For the money. Yep.
Right. So, but
But yeah, so it's
also,
I just want to go through the breakdown of the House. So it's 219
yeah,
Republican, it's 214 Democrats, and there's two vacancies. One's in New Jersey to fill Mikey Sherrill's role, who became the
which is
governor
about to
of
come up.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
it's
I'm
at the
looking
end of the
into that.
month. I think
Yeah,
it's April 30th.
I'm gonna look into
It's
that
April
one. And
30th.
then
Yeah, it's
there's another
yeah.
one. There's another vacancy in California that followed a representative that had died back in January.
Yep.
Doug LaMalfa, something like that. Yeah. But
He
he
was a
died back in
Republican.
January. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's a vacant seat as well. So, who's to say? Again, very midterms elections are coming up. The wins are usually every midterm election is not, or is usually not good for
The
the sitting
incumbent
president,
president. Yeah.
the party that's in power. So uh, there was a blue wave under Trump's first during the midterms and Trump's first what do you call that administration. So most likely there's going to be another one. Now, what I don't think they'll take the House. We'll have to see about the Senate. We'll have to see
Need
about
to
that
send
one.
it.
But yeah, but they're in prime position to take the House, which
It's
we know.
numbers saying it's numbers.
Yeah.
It's actually it was a prediction just last week or no this week. A credible source. I mean, I overheard it. I didn't even write it down. Said that the Democrats are going to take the Senate 53-47. They said
Hmm.
they were okay. This was the path. They said they was going to take the Ohio, take Ohio, take take North Carolina, take Nebraska. Um, shit. It was what Alaska.
I've been hearing about that. Yeah, I've been looking into that one. I could see that.
Alaska is very possible, and then
Yeah,
and
up in Maine.
uh, Maine. I was about to say
Yeah,
up there with
with
the Susan
Brittany
Collins
Kaiser.
punk
Yeah,
ass that said she was only going to be in office for 2 terms, and she's running for her like I think for like fifth term now.
yeah.
When she ran, she said she was only going to. I'm for 2 terms, and if this is not her fourth term, she's running for it. This will be her fifth term.
Well,
Yeah.
these people don't
hmm
want to cede power.
Oh,
That's
it's the money. It's the
yeah.
free money.
hmm
And you know the reason. You know the reason why they 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 steadfast on making trying to get the shutdown because Delta shut down congressional Delta One perks for Congress.
That's funny.
They did.
Of
They
course.
shut them
Yeah.
down, and that's
Mhm.
when they went to and tried to pass the bill to pay the TSA because
That's
Delta
actually
said, "Yo, we can't." Huh?
no. I'm saying that's actually a good segue because that's what I want to touch on. For what's going on in Congress is the DHS shutdown.
Let's go. Go with it.
All right. Yep. So the Department of Homeland Security, they've been shut down since like the middle of February. I think it's been like since
59 days now. 50. Yeah.
yeah. I think it's been since I want
End
to
of
say
January.
I'm about to say, or
February.
that I want to say like Valentine's Day sounds familiar too. But
Somewhere
anyway,
around there.
so Department of Homeland Security, this affects agencies like the TSA, ICE, Customs and Border Patrol, the Secret Service, FEMA, among others. And so they've been working. Most of these people have been working during this time, but without getting paid. So these agencies they haven't been funded. But last week, the Senate passed a bill that would fund everything in DHS other than ICE and Customs and
And
Border
border
Patrol,
control.
which
Yep.
is something that the Democrats really are against, especially coming off of everything that you've seen with ICE around the country, but specifically in Minnesota, where 2 American citizens were killed. One was actually by ICE, the other was by Customs and Border Patrol, and they on camera you see these people being murdered
They
by the
shot somebody
government,
last week too.
by the state. And not to mention, these aren't the only people that have been killed. These are just the
No.
main. These are the main ones
That's the
that
main
these.
characters.
Yeah, while the Democratic Party, the elected Democratic Party, is really up in arms about ICE and Customer Border Patrol. And honestly, if you hear about some of the demands, it's really one. It's not really that much, but also it's just like really this is
Yeah.
what you guys are demanding. It's like no
They
mask
don't
and
wear.
making
They
sure that
can't
people
wear a
wear
mask,
yeah,
which
they no mask,
they
wear
weren't wearing
proper
masks
or
in the airports.
yeah. Yeah, because that was a sanitation campaign. That was to say, hey, we need people to view ICE agents as, the friendly faces that's gonna hold the line for you while you go pee. Because we shut at least DHS down, so your TSA line is now gonna be 3 hours. Stuff like that. So
Not
anyway,
to
the Senate
mention,
passed the
it was
bill.
real funny. It was a lot of black and brown ICE agents in those
Yup.
daggone airports. A lot of black and brown ones.
It'd be your own people.
Hmm.
But anyway, so the Senate they passed a bill that would fund all of DHS other than ICE and CBP, but
Unanimously.
they had the intention of Republicans later using reconciliation to pass funding for those agencies through just a party line vote. So they don't need Democrats. There's not going to be any amendments added to it. It's just this is what the bill is. Let's vote on it. Boom. Let's get it done. The House rejected that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have a quick question. And again, this show is for the people that are not hardcore. And so we want who runs the house? What party's in control of the house?
The Republican Party with Speaker Mike Johnson.
What party's in control of the Senate?
The Republican Party with Majority
What
Leader John Thune.
what party is in charge of the White House?
Unfortunately, the Republican Party with Donald Trump and JD Vance was not much better.
The Supreme Court leans in a what way when it comes conservative or liberal?
To the right, conservative.
How many conservative justices are on the Supreme Court?
What is it? Nine
Six.
three, six.
It's
So
six
six three,
three. 6-3.
6-3.
6-3. I say all that because I want people to always understand this one thing. When you watch your television or you hear through your speakers that the Democratic ran shutdown, it's the Democrats' fault. The Democrats are the minority party. The majority party can pass anything if they truly want to.
If they want
If they
to,
wanted to get to, if they want to,
yes.
they can do it without Democrats, if they want to, they is mechanisms in place to make it more difficult. But if they want to take the nuclear option and say, let's just do it, they can. They have the
Hmm.
ability.
Yep.
They, but the filibuster and things that nature, they don't want to get rid of that thing because at the end of the day, their party is not going to be in control at a certain point. And then let me explain something. Give me 2 minutes, Dallas. Let me explain this
Yeah.
to Republic. The Republican Party is a minority party. There are majority more Democrats in America registered. That's why when it comes to vote in suppression bills, and that's why when it comes to the whole get out the vote, when you know what happens on election day, what Republicans hope for rain. Republicans hope that you have to work and you can't make it to the polls. Republicans always vote to make sure there is no extension in voting hours and time.
Yep.
They want to make it harder for you to vote because if more people actually vote and come out to vote, they will never win because people don't follow their policies. Whenever, whenever Republicans are in control and in power, the country always recedes because they are there to say, I can't stand you. This is what I will. They are a minority party. They're the counteract. They're the reactionary party. They're there to shake their fingers at you. They're there to hit you with their Bible and then go sneak off and go watch their Pornhub. You know, that's what they are about. They are not supposed to be in control because they don't know how to govern. They
Yeah.
talk about being physically conservative and actually for the working people. But guess what? Corporations are what? Run by fiscally conservatives and Republican people, and they've been shipping your jobs off to different countries
Yeah.
for the last 40 years. Yeah, these people that talked about I heard people that the budget and they I worry about the deficit. The deficit has been blown by Bush and by Trump
Hmm.
trillions of dollars in both of their terms, and it always be Democrats that actually bring it down, because we can't afford preschool. We can't afford daycare. We can't do it. We need $200 billion so we can go shoot some brown people in the Middle East.
It's their favorite pastime. Yep.
Favorite pastime is shooting some brown people somewhere else.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So actually, and
Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, and going off of that, so just going a little bit back, the House rejected the Senate bill. They're saying that they're not going to vote on it until there is significant progress made on the reconciliation package first. So Speaker Mike Johnson sent everyone home for about 2 weeks
Yes,
by
for 2 weeks.
yeah, for the Easter break without a vote
Always.
on it. Yep. And it's funny because we'll see what happens when they come back, but ultimately it doesn't seem like anything immediately is going to be done about this. So the shutdown could last, they're saying, until like at least June 1st, like possibly into the summertime. And former Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, who replaced Christy Nome, who was the head of the Department of Homeland Security, he
Former plumber.
yeah,
Former
yeah,
plumber.
former everything. And he announced that the TSA
Former
or
UFC fighter.
the THS or the DHS workers, that they're going to be paid for their time working during the shutdown within the coming days. But how they're going to be paid, they literally just declined to say. They said they're using a provision that allows the president to move around funds during emergencies. And again, they just haven't announced where that's going to come from. And it's
Well, didn't
important.
somebody get checked? Didn't they get checks on Monday, or some people got paid on Monday?
I think they said
TSA.
I think they said they started sending out some checks, but like
Yeah, a
everyone,
few
so
people
like
checked.
also so like ICE, CBP, like these other like they're gonna receive their money as well. Or something like within the like everyone within DHS within the coming
Okay, but ICE was already getting
yeah,
money. ICE were already getting
yeah,
paid because of
yeah.
that big fucked up bill. They was already getting paid. ICE was getting paid.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
all of this is coming on the heels of Trump proposing, and I'll get to the larger thing, but a $52 billion cut to the TSA in next year's budget. And basically, what he wants to happen is he wants airports to enroll in this program where TSA pays for and supervises private companies to provide security at airports. And places like San Francisco, Kansas City, and Orlando, they already have these kind of programs in place. So there were no like long lines. At TSA during the shutdown at these airports because they already have private security doing it, not the government. And Senators Mike Lee and Tommy Tuberville, the former coach at Alabama, he
And
proposed.
and it's about to be the former senator because his pussy ass is about to go back to Alabama to run for governor. And
Ain't that
he
something?
can't count to four either. He can't do 2 2. And the thing about that, he didn't even coach the good fucking team in Alabama. He coached Auburn.
Yeah,
And excuse me, my mother said I shouldn't curse on here a lot, but I can't stand dumbass
that's
pussies.
funny. Yeah, but no,
But
he fits the description.
yeah,
But
he's. I just hate mediocre dumb white men,
that's funny.
and I'm going to say it. They're
Become a dime.
mediocre dumb, and for and they don't have to prove themselves for being competent. Um, the biggest DEI um program that we have is when this administration came in and got rid of over 300,000 black uh, and brown women in the workforce and gave mediocre white men jobs that they weren't qualified for because I'm sorry, I any person that I see on television that's that was like a reality star or a weekend Fox host or or somebody that was um, a daytime talk show host, and
Yeah,
these people are actually having um, a CEO or wife of a CEO of fucking WWE is in charge of Department of Education.
ain't that something?
You can't make this shit up.
Banana
This is
Republic,
this is some
or
people's mothers
yeah,
should have just swallowed them. They shouldn't just be here.
yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I said it was a banana republic, but it's really they call it a idiocracy, where it's like you're governed by
Yeah.
like the people who are least suitable to lead. The people, and that's exactly what it is. Like you said, like what is Stephanie McMahon doing at the Department of Education? Why is a Fox News
No,
host
it's
leading the
Linda.
Department of
Stephanie's
War?
is
Linda,
the
I'm sorry.
daughter.
No,
It's
I'm sorry,
Linda.
Linda. Linda.
It's
My
Linda.
bad.
Okay. No, Stephanie is still where she's supposed to be.
Yeah, okay,
She's with the WWE. She's
okay.
she's doing what she's supposed to be.
Nice. But yeah, so there's already been a bill that proposed basically dismantling TSA, and like that's the Republicans. What they want to do is just privatize everything. The government shouldn't be
Yeah.
doing anything other than, like Trump said, which I touched on last week, except for basically providing military protection. That's what they think, and so they're gonna. He said that by dismantling the TSA basically and privatizing it, it's going to save taxpayers money, but it's not going to save anyone money because they're just going to move the
No.
money. They're going to spend it elsewhere, and where they're probably going to spend it to help pay for this $1.5 trillion budget that he wants to give to the Department of War now for next year. So
Oh,
it'll go somewhere. Yeah.
can we stop doing that?
What?
I refuse to say Department of War.
Department of War?
It's the Department of
I know.
I refuse to.
Yeah.
I refuse to give them the justice of actually using terminology that is not what it is.
Well, I mean, we are
Nah,
currently now in this. I mean, they changed the name just in
they
time.
can't call it a war. They still
I
can't
think
call it a war.
legally. Oh, which I'm gonna get to that, but yeah.
They
Legally,
can,
but
but
that's what it is.
but on that point, um, it's just too many things that just. I lost my train of thought when you. I had a point, but I lost it because I'm just. But go ahead, go on to you. What would you say? Oh, about the TSA. Uh, I have all these little footnotes that's very important, and well, important to me because see, I'm a rat. I'm gonna be called a radical. They can't get rid of TSA. The TSA has to be get taken. It has to be an act of Congress.
Yes.
And on top of that, it's a process that would take 3 years for it actually totally to be flipped over. On top of that, no one should actually want this to go away if you are pro working. Remember, this is a federal job. This is a federal
Yeah.
job that is unionized, and also no matter where you go, majority across this country, when you go into these airports, you got black, brown, and women as TSA agents. It is it is it's a good government paying job for your people, for minorities and all minorities of every ilk. And so another reason why they want to get rid of it. Because
Of
the
course.
numbers show that. They
Hmm.
know that. Because this is a working class type of job that's a government agent that has a union and has been benefits. We don't never want to give them mother nothing.
Yeah.
That's why they do. They don't never want to give them nothing.
Yeah.
But that's a little hidden thing that a lot of people and they didn't think that's what it was going to be when they invented it 20 something 25 years ago.
What was it? 2000,
Yeah,
2002, 2003?
20 2023 years ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
because after 9/11, they didn't think that, hey, there's a lot of daggone them color folks over there that's got these government jobs and this shit now. Well,
Yeah.
they didn't think we was going to do that.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
But go ahead.
But yeah, that's all I had on the DHS shutdown. I just wanted to touch on some of
we
those
we
things.
don't win damn near we don't win damn near an hour.
Yeah.
we so well, let's spend the last we can spend a good amount of period and talk about what we actually really want to talk about.
That's
This
fine.
has
Yeah.
been a great conversation because we haven't actually touched on the true subject that we wanted to discuss today, and we kind of scratched the surface about it. And what we really want to discuss in this subject because we couldn't dig into any like legislation or anything because you know, like the kids, the grown-ups is on spring break.
Yeah.
Your government is on spring break. So we couldn't really talk about any laws or things that's going on. So we wanted to actually have a culture war fight. The the inbred fight and explain to people it's terms that people are and we want to actually dig into it and explain what the true essence of what's a liberal and what's the difference between a liberal and no we don't want to talk about conservatives but what's the difference between a liberal and a progressive because we often in our these first two chapters we rail against republicans and the maga and the republican party but we wanted to dig into what is the big tent. A lot of people always say Democrats are a big tent. You have centrist Democrats, you have a conservative Democrat. You could be a Democrat and still be pro life. You could be a Democrat and be pro gun. You can be a Democrat and be a Marxist.
Yeah.
You can be, I mean, and the true essence of the fact is there's 50 states, and then it's a whole bunch of different districts. So you can be a lot of different things from basically where, if you're in Montana or if you in Tennessee or everybody is no, it's not a cookie cutter it's not a cookie cutter presentation on being a Democrat.
Hmm.
However, when you take the party away and you say liberal and a progressive,
Hmm.
they're two different things, but I would dare to say that progressives need liberals in order to get this the establishment, the people that work within the government structure to get legislation passed and then to move forward. And liberals need progressives to kick them in the ass and push them towards what the people in the grassroots are actually thinking and saying.
Yeah.
Because a prime example, President Obama did not believe in gay marriage. He was all right with civil unions, and he did not believe, he didn't think that gay people should have the right to legal marriage. Progress the movement, the people actually moved him on it because it was an influx of people. And a lot of times, politicians and people they look at polls and what the polls are saying. And
Hmm.
actually, the old white man that was on his side, beside him for 8 years, pushed him. Joe Biden is the one that pushed him on gay
Yep.
marriage, the Catholic. So, funny bedfellows. And then, and see the whole stereotype of being a Catholic doesn't, some people, and I mean, my father's side of the family is Catholic, but it's just like these all these terminologies, they may be insignificant. They the stereotype tip of one, they don't actually fall in play for everybody. So yeah, tell me what let's talk about what's the difference between a liberal and a progressive.
Yeah. So, and it's funny because people think that the Democratic Party is progressive. Like you see, like they'll say, like, "Oh, the party, like they went too far." When like you people who are leaving the Democratic Party, Bill Maher, for example, classic person who, yeah, lifelong liberal,
Classic
not the
liberal, white
you
liberal.
classic liberal, yeah, who's just like, oh no, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me, as if they're going too far, they're going too woke, as some people try to say. But at best, the party has actually moved to the center, and in reality, I feel like they've moved to the right. Like as the elected party, not people on the ground, not people who call themselves Democrats, people who call themselves Democrats, ran for Congress, got elected to Congress, and have the ability and the power to legislate. They no, they're moving to the right. They're not championing um, policies that are going to, give everyone health care and affordable health care. They're not making sure that everyone's able to, afford housing. They're not making sure everyone, or that's not a priority for them to make sure that, people are taken care of, that they're educated, that they can travel, that they can, have families, they can buy homes. None of these things seem to be priority. They speak a good game. They'll say that these are things that that we care about and we want our people to be able to do this. But when it comes time to actually legislate, and when it comes time to put forward bills and proposals to do these things, uh, they go running away. And and it's so funny because in the House of Representatives, there's a progressive caucus, and the progressive caucus has over like 100 members. There's not 100 progressive members in Congress. There are not of elected Democrats. There are not, but yet it's like 100 of them within the caucus, because it's good to say that you're a progressive. true progressives in the House, there's probably, off the top of my head, I can think of like 10, if that.
I only can
If
think
that.
of five.
Not to say it's what you
I
got
only can think
Squad,
of
Ro
five.
Khanna. Who you got?
Rokana,
Pramila Jayapal,
Presley out of
Diana, yeah,
Massachusetts. Uh,
Tlaib, AOC,
AOC. Um, the sister out of
Minnesota.
our sister Minnesota, our sister out of Minnesota.
I can't believe I'm blanking on a name right now. Oh my gosh.
I know, and she's very popular because everybody hates her.
Because she's Somali.
The Somalian.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I really can't believe I'm
Uh,
blanking on a name right now. That's crazy.
that me too.
Yeah.
Um, Omar,
Ilhan Omar.
Congressman. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Max
Frost from
a lot.
Florida. He ran as a progressive, whether or not he actually led, but I would still.
I was about to say
Yeah.
a lot, and then see in the last, and this is how they eat their young, and this is how they eat themselves because establishment Democrats like for you, I watch a lot of internet news and like podcasts, left leaning podcasts because that's another thing that hurt the Democratic Party and progressives is they didn't come to, left leftists were late to come to the internet and go podcasting, whereas though the
Oh,
Rush
it's been.
Limbaugh
Yep.
types in the Alex Jones and they've been here. They've been here for all these years.
Radio
And
internet.
yes, so like I Hit News, I watch I Hit News, the two white ladies, the two liberal white ladies, and these they're actually entertainment. They were actually they interview a lot of people and they gave the business to cousin Corey. Yeah, Aunt Stephanie calls the Senator that's everybody's black person. That's their cousin Corey. Because they hit him on taking that
Hassan
APAC
Piker
money.
stuff? Oh, yeah,
Huh? Taking that APAC money.
Yeah.
And and they asked the tough questions. But they said, and I agree with her, this 50-something-year-old white woman, but she was like, Democrats need to be, because she had Hassan Piker on, because Hassan Piker is actually a progressive. And because he said, if it came to down to J.D. Vance and Gavin Newsom, who would you vote for? And he said, I'll vote third party.
Yeah. And
then he was like, you can't do that. You're supposed to vote blue no matter what, this, that, and other. And his thing is that neither one of them, they don't say my values. So I'm not going to vote for somebody that don't have my values. And on top of that, I'm in California. Me voting third party is not going to affect anything.
Yeah.
But and if at the point, if you are so powerful that if you are sitting on your airways and say I'm voting third party, and that's going to cause Kamala Harris to lose the election, then why didn't Kamala Harris and her people come to Hassan Piker and say, I need to do to get your support and get whatever amount of people that's following you support?
Yeah.
Maybe do I need to actually have a conversation with them Palestinians that's standing at the outside the gate of the National Convention? Do I need to have a conversation with them?
Nah.
Or do I need to continue to suck the teat of Israel? You know, Democrats aren't trying to win. A lot of people, and I'm not, until I dug into it personally, son, I was looking forward to actually having a black man as the Speaker of the House. I
Yeah,
really was. I mean,
yeah,
as a just one of those things that another thing that our man, I'm sorry. I don't want that black man to be Speaker of the House.
no, Hakeem Jeffries is a joke. Like, I'm sorry, and I hate to talk about, especially like another black man like that. But I mean, listen to him speak. Listen to him speak on issues that actually mean something to real
That
people.
matter.
Yes, like listen to him open his mouth on anything, and what he says a lot of words. It means absolutely nothing. He goes around in circles. But it's not even specific to him. So I don't want to drill too much on him because it's not specific to him.
This is what I was trying to say. Yeah,
Wing of the party.
but the people, she describes as the Democrat Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, and the leadership of the Democratic Party as they're basically blue MAGA because they are in bed with the same corporations and with the same. They go to the same tech oligarchy. And the truth of the matter is, these big time corporations and these big CEOs, they give money to both parties. So
Yep.
whereas though they can have influence no matter who's in office.
So it
So
doesn't matter.
even because at a certain point, the other is ebb and flows. The
Yes.
other party is going to be in charge. So no matter what, all y'all niggas is in bed with APAC. All y'all is. No
Yep.
matter if y'all red or blue, all y'all is in bed with the CEOs with
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Did you know Pam Bondi,
Mm-hmm.
the guy that took her spot, Todd Blanche?
Top Blanche. Yeah.
You know that motherfucker's a Democrat?
I didn't know
He's
that.
a registered Democrat.
Man.
Just like Tulsi Gabbard.
Another
Democrat. It don't matter if you got a D or R next to your name if you daggone and heed to the same policies. In the simple fact, I was watching a video today that made a whole lot of sense, and I couldn't. I don't have. That's the reason why I was trying to use my iPad earlier so I can play it. But the gentleman said this is going to make the Dem. It was on. He said this is going to make a lot of Democrats upset, but the only reason that MAGA actually was able to come into existence is because the Democratic Party did not have enough pushback to actually stifle them.
Mm-hmm.
If you actually had leadership and a daggone system in place to actually fight back, but the Democratic Party, as constructed now, and this way it's been constructed for the last year, has been complicit on this takeover of the country. Because
Mm-hmm.
guess what? A lot of those people in those suits and making these speeches, them motherfuckers still make money.
Mm-hmm.
They still in good place. Because guess what? Capitalism is good to them.
Yep.
You cannot actually consider or think that you are going to be better off with people and their only winning fight, their winning statement is, we are not Donald Trump. What are you doing for me, bitch?
Then that's
What
all
are
they
you
ran on,
doing for me?
is we're not
What
Trump.
are you doing for my children?
Yep.
What are you?
It's not a high bar.
You got to be more than just not Donald Trump.
Yeah.
How are you progressing?
Mm-hmm.
A liberal. A liberal wants things to be nice and wants things to be equal. But guess what? A liberal they don't want you living in their neighborhood. They don't want you going to their school, and they damn sure probably don't want you dating their daughter. They like the concept of a beautiful world and a beautiful society, and they'll a liberal will actually volunteer at the soup kitchen
Hmm.
and things of that nature. A progressive is somebody that's going to come up with a system that's going to stand and try to figure out where it's going. It's going to be a long term adjustment.
Yeah,
Not a liberal's just going to say, "Wow, that's bad." They might go to
yeah,
a protest. They're going to donate, and they feel good. And then, a
yeah.
progressive is going to be out there on the streets talk about fuck this system. This is blow. Let's blow it all up.
Yep, mobilizing the grassroots movements and support, and also liberal. They love to compromise. They love to try to be at the middle. They want to work along party lines. They want to work with members of the other party. They what they do. They try to seek bipartisanship, and they say in bipartisanship, and it's something that sounds good. When you say it like, oh yeah, both parties are working together to do something. If something easily passes in Washington through bipartisanship, it does not affect you in a positive way. If something bipartisan passes just like that, it's used stuff like that is usually reserved for corporations and the military. That's it. That's pretty much always it. And to do something that's bad, and and that's like you said, it's just no way. It's no way to govern. Going back to something that you had said and talking about, like the influence of money in politics, and that's the biggest problem with the Democratic Party is because they are, as I mentioned last week, they are corporate captured. They are captured by the corporations and
Corporate
by the money.
Dems,
Yes, and
your
they
cousin
are captured
Corey.
by that money. Yeah, and it's actually funny. The DNC, I don't know if you saw the DNC today. They some members had convened in New Orleans, and they actually rejected a resolution to like get dark money out of like rejected within the party platform, specifically on APAC,
Citizens United needs to be
specifically
going.
APAC. Yeah, and they rejected it because they don't want APAC money to be gone. They want that money. The party as a whole, they want that corporate money because they also agree with the greater Israel project that is currently going on. But that's a separate topic for another day. However, go back to it. They don't care about raising taxes on corporations so that we're able to fund social programs. They don't care about making sure that education is taken care of. The different policies that I attended to earlier, and that's because these people they're like, and liberals they're a range of people. So the majority of progressives they're actually, and Pew Research did some polls on this. They're younger, they're mostly white, and they are mostly educated. That's who the progressives are. However, most of the people I know that are progressive, just like that, they're black and brown people too. So it is a mix of people. Just like you said, the Democratic Party is a broad tent. There's a lot of people within that tent. There are. And that's the same thing within, the progressive left as well. I feel there's not a specific and it's crazy because when I was like doing a little bit of research for this topic, most people said that progressives are like, oh yeah, they just like the social policies, and they think that the government should favor people that um are like the most vulnerable, basically. And like, yes, I do believe that that is part of the progressive platform, but that's all that was defined. Nothing to say about the economy, nothing to say about the gains that progressives were able to make when it comes to voter participation, when it comes to actually getting policies that impact families and working individuals in this country. um those things, like, they really weren't mentioned, which is interesting. But I think that's just part of a broader project right now of calling the Democratic Party as a whole woke, and saying like that's the party of DEI, and they don't like merit, and they kind of just want they want to, basically, a lot of the people on the right are saying they want to see white people in the minority. They don't want white people to to be as successful and stuff, and it's specifically targeted towards white men and young white men at that too. Again, that's when it comes to the Republican Party, but
All
it's
this
not.
is relative. It's crazy
Yeah.
that they talk about merit, but the reason why all these generals have been fired in the military,
Yep.
specifically the chief of staff of the army after 44 years of service was asked to retire because he basically stood up for minorities, black women, black and women. I'm sorry, two black people and two women to get promoted,
Yep.
and Hegseth wanted them off the list. The people been losing their jobs because one thing about the military, for the most part, and I've had family in the military, because, and I've had conversations. Yo, it's some racist. But majority, you do your job and you good. They don't. It's a merit based thing.
Yeah.
So, and it's against regulations to actually just block somebody's promotion when when they have seniority and they have actually graded out a certain way.
Yeah.
They supposed to be promoted. But this is just mediocre white men just wanting to be in charge,
Yeah.
underqualified. Um, it's nothing more and nothing more, nothing less. The actual when I'm a progressive by the term. To many people, I'll be called I'm radical. You know, people may ask, when did I become? I've been radicalized since 1989. Since I was 16 years old. So this is nothing new to me. I I never claimed ownership to this country because this country's never given me and my people equity. I don't use the term we. I talk about them. My people was owed 40 acres and a mule. My people's been taken from Reconstruction. Many people will often say, stop living in the past, but the past is what actually has created our present.
Hmm.
And have things gotten better? Absolutely. I ain't had to deal with shit that my grandparents had to deal with,
Yeah.
but I still been called a nigga to my face.
So how do you square that? Like
And
all
I
this
know the
is
color of
wisdom.
my skin has actually gave me done hurt me in certain situations, and sometimes just the way that the way that I look and the way that I speak.
Yeah.
So I'm I believe that marginalized people shall be protected and respected. That's why when people I never understand, if you are marginalized and you are discriminated against, how can you actually feel some type of way and negative to another marginalized group? Because they already done treated you like that.
Yeah.
And they already just like I'm very I'm very pro LGBT, and the only reason I know that because I know how it is to get fucked over.
Exactly. Yep.
And I know in a true society or utopia that people actually want to do, as a true progressive, you can only want you can only want the best for people as a whole, and
Everyone.
that and it's for everyone.
Yeah.
The only thing, like, and I want people to understand something when I talk about, and it's that greater thing, and I think I had to explain this. It was the time I had to explain this to you and your brothers. That's how when I talk about white people, I'm talking about the system. I'm never talking about an
A specific
individual.
person. Yeah.
It's not a specific because
Sure.
I'm talking about the system that's actually put in place, and the machine. And
Yeah.
this a lot of times people don't want to see and actually want to think about the machine. Woke is a concept. Woke is a concept of where as though you understand it that it's actually a system in place that works to actually maneuver everybody in this whole little maze.
Hmm.
They don't want you to be educated. They just want you to be educated enough to actually go clock in and do a job and be part of the system.
Hmm.
They don't want you to actually figure out in your head a way to actually escape the system or rewrite the system and make the system work better for you. You just need to be a cog. You just need to be a number. Being woke is not taking no pill and not being part of the matrix. Being woke is actually saying, "Damn, you know what? This shit is all designed to be this way, and it's a reason for it." Black people came up with the term woke, and it was about us. It was hijacked by this fucking country. I had to have this conversation. I had this conversation with a white man that was one of my Uber drivers, and I had him to explain when it was we was he was uproar over that daggone Cracker Barrel thing. Well, they got a new woke CEO, and I said, "What, sir? What's woke? What does that mean?" Well, these people they nowadays they can't, everybody's soft, they're punks, this, that, and other. I always like to think each generation actually gets smarter than the other generation. I know you're smarter than me. I know you know what I mean? I should hope so. You know what I mean? And hopefully you won't make the same mistakes that I do, but hopefully that you can take something that you got and actually, extenuate it and make it better.
Yeah.
You know, it's very possible. I mean, I know for a fact I'm probably farther left. I'm more progressive than you, and and some kids. I don't know, but then again, you could have
No
moved a
doubt.
little bit more, move a little bit more. But I mean,
No doubt.
I, I'm totally anti-capitalism, and
Yeah.
I know you're not, and
Yeah. Oh no
and
no no no
that's
no no
fine.
no 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 no.
I know you're
I
not
don't know.
totally anti-capitalism.
I was gonna say I don't know. I don't know what I can. Well, I think, and I think that's where the distinction with progressive, because there are, like I meant, the progressives. There's a broad tent, so there are
Right,
anti-capitalism.
right, right, right.
There are,
Exactly.
like, therefore, like you said, there are Marxist progressive. There's also ones that believe in the free market, but just how do you maneuver within that, or whether it's
Even though the
just
free market's fake,
uh,
because there
yeah,
is no
yeah,
such thing as that anymore.
exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah. So and it's funny because, like,
If we wanted to actually true free market, we would still what if the anti-monopoly laws wouldn't have been taken out of the books.
yeah, yeah. So
That's the
for
whole thing about that.
yeah,
You know, the mom and pops,
mhm,
you still have mom and pop stores because that instead of actually three companies actually owning all the daggone commerce, five companies owning all the commerce, all these daggone uh media networks are being owned by the same goddamn people. You know,
yeah, consolidation is to make sure
but
that,
again,
again, it's just, and that's just the broader, that's the broader project of, again, the American empire. It is just to consolidate power, consolidate voice within a defined group. And the central question for when it comes to progressive is, on public policy, and it's like, who has power? Why do they have that power? And how are they using that power? And also, you got to question, like you mentioned, questioning the system in the first place that allows a small handful of people to hold power. And currently in the country, both parties are allowing the small group of people to have power. That's the oligarchs. That is, so that it's the it's the
the
corporations, it's the
oligarchy.
the millionaires. Yes, and who, just look at Donald Trump's inauguration. Who was there?
Yep.
Who was in the front row right behind him? Usually that's reserved for the
Google.
family.
It
That's
wasn't.
reserved
There
for,
wasn't no political
yeah,
people. It was Google. What was
no.
it?
Yeah,
Amazon. It was
Mark Zuckerberg was there. Jeff
Zuckerberg
Bezos
and
was
them.
there. Elon Musk was there. The guy from Google,
Not even an
his
American.
name was there. Yeah, all the all the tech guys were there. Sam was that Sam Altman was there. All, again, the people with the money. Now it's no wonder why the federal government is trying to make it so that States can't regulate AI. Why? Because they're corporate captured by the people he has standing right behind him when he was sworn into office for the second time. And again, this is not specific to the Republican Party. This is something that encapsulates the
because
current government landscape and political landscape in the country.
Your neighbor flew out to San Francisco and kissed the ring. The minority leader,
Yeah,
he was. I don't know, guys. I want you to know that we're for tech, and we're still behind you, and blah. Yup, yeah.
yeah,
It don't matter. No, we'll keep the boots on them niggas too. Don't worry with you. We're
yeah,
all about it.
yeah.
Yep, yep.
Give us your money so that we can take back the house, and nothing's going for you. Nothing's going to change. So, eh, so win-win. You know what I mean? So and that's where we're at, and it's terrible. And I'm actually glad you brought that up because Hakeem Jeffries, Nancy Pelosi, these liberals, these people who again they're on the left, and
Liberal.
they talk a great deal. Like they can say that back in 2020 with the George Floyd after the Floyd murder and the protests, who were the people that were kneeling in the Congress with the kente cloths? It wasn't the progressives. It's because for the liberal it is performative. They want to they again like I said, they talk a good game. They want to appear as if they're on your side and that they support these policies that again they're going to help people like you, working people, struggling people. But that's not who they're on the side on, and it's unfortunate. Even if they come from those backgrounds, once they, like you said, once they get into Congress, a lot of these people they leave richer than they came. It shouldn't be like that. That is a travesty, and that's a shortcoming that honestly, and you said, you when you talk about the country, you do them, not we. But it is we. That's a shortcoming on all of us that we collectively have allowed this, and that's what it's on all of it, regardless of party, to see past the lens of progressive, liberal, left, right. No, it is both parties because it is the system that is incentivizing them to only care about the small handful of people. So their policies get passed all the time. It's only the bills that affect working people, the people that actually make this country run, that get debated. Again, anytime there's a conversation on Joe Biden tried to pass $20,000 student loan forgiveness during his administration. Where are we going to get the money? Where's this going to happen? What's that? We're spending $1 billion a day in Iran in a war that has not been congressionally approved.
Sanctioned.
What are we talking about? Again, a $1.5 trillion Department of War, Defense, Pentagon budget. Where are we going to get the money from for that? There's never any questions about any of that. However, you want to
They're
help
printing.
working families, you want to help children. Nah, I'm sorry, that's not the good job of the federal government. States, go ahead. Maybe we'll leave it to the states, but if it happens, it happens. If not, we're cool because we're gonna make sure that Lockheed Martin has the money to build our weapons. We're gonna make sure that Boeing and Halliburton they have the money to build our Palantir now they have the money to build us our weapons in the surveillance state
And
that we're trying to build.
surveillance. And the
Yep, yep,
surveillance.
yep. And that's the project. And again, that is not specific to a party. That is both parties. And like you said, it's on the progressives to bring the liberal wing of the party, whether it's kicking and screaming, whatever the case is, to bring them to the point where it's like, yo, listen to the people, not to the money. Listen to the people on the ground.
It got to be where as though I example of it. You run for office, you in office. That's that's the situation where as though, and it like I said, it works hand in hand. Somebody has to be in the room
Yeah.
and be in the room to be able to negotiate, but also have the ability in the ear to hear what's going on in the streets,
Hmm.
what's going on from them. A lot of times they just push back against the progressive wing, and they don't even give them a chance to speak. And the bottom line is they have to get so out of hand. We're like they are now, like they because now guess what, white folk? You're not immune to it. You talked about just like earlier when you talked about how why didn't these brown people they was doing mass deportation because it was the whole pick me thoughts. Yo, I and then it's where it's going. It's the same thing. You know why people didn't want that $20,000 for loan forgiveness.
Because it wasn't fair.
Why should they have it easy? I had to
I
pay
paid.
back my student loans,
Yep. I worked multiple
or
jobs through college. I had to
I had to
save
work
up.
with like why should that? That's the crabs in the barrel shit. You think if somebody get a break, I'm like, oh my god, how they get a break? Don't nobody talk about how they a lot of people do in my mother's generation, not my mother's generation. My mother was black, so different.
Yeah.
But when you talk about certain people, in California, it was free education in the 70s.
Hmm.
And where's they got free college
Hmm.
or damn near free to go to Stanford and all these universities. When I when I graduated high school, it was going to cost me less than $10,000 a year to go to a university. The university that I did go, the college I went to, at the time was $5,000. It was $5,000 a year. The school I wanted to go to was $10,000. Hampton was $10,000 a year back in 1991. It's 4 or 5 times that now.
Yep.
Just so it's like, do I still wanted to be how much I was because guess what? The education ain't changed.
No.
The education ain't changed. So why it costs more? It just costs more.
Yeah. Everything costs more.
You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's just this whole thing. You don't want people to get ahead because if I had, that's the whole thing. If I had to struggle, then the next generation they need to struggle. I had to pay
No.
back my student loans with them. I I came to this country the right way, so everybody else need to come the right way. What's the fuck's the right way?
Exactly. Is it fair to my ancestors that I get paid for the work that I do? So, what about that? What about you want to say you paid off your loans? Cool. I'm glad you did. You shouldn't have had to work so hard to get educated. Because in other countries, they don't have to do that. You don't have to get extra jobs just to pay for loans, for tuition. You don't have to do that. You don't have to, worry about where your next check's going to come from if you break your ankle. You don't have to
Why?
worry about, how you're going to get the money to buy a house or to have a family. None of those things are some of those things that are issues in other, especially industrialized countries, because they actually say, hey, part of national security is making sure that our people are actually taken care of, making sure that our people can, lead happy and loving lives. And in this country, it's so individualized. It's so you're only worried about you and the people within your network. And most people's network is their families and their friends that they actually care about. So it's
Why does
that's
Cuba have a 90% literacy rate? Why does Cuba have universal health care? Why is the United States choking the life out of Cuba right now? Why? How did Cuba survive for 60 some odd years with sanctions and still are more literate and have a better life expectancy than this big ass country that's 90 miles away?
Mhm.
But that's socialism.
it's
So that's bad.
it's great, and that's what I was getting to. It's all these, and it's not just the Republicans that demonize progressives for this. It's also the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party, and they'll call these people,
You
like
living
you
at
said,
it.
like
You
you said,
living in the city.
radical. Yeah, Yeah, which
You
like I
living
said
in that
earlier,
city.
it's that they said what vote blue no matter who, unless it's someone that is a little further to the left than we are, because then it's well we need someone to run as an independent so we can support them instead of the one who actually won the Democratic primary. So anytime and they do it
Because
all the time.
they'd rather have a daggone rapist. They'd rather have a woman beater and a rapist in charge of their democracy instead of somebody that
That resigned
says,
in disgrace.
I think we should have free child care.
Yeah,
I think the rich
people
should
should
pay more.
that people should be able to afford the city that they live in. Yeah,
No,
and they
they
want the
don't care if
communism.
somebody daggone is a that this this is so ass backwards. It was so crazy because I watched one video one time. It was so crazy. This woman in it, and she said, "I would let Donald Trump watch my daughter. I let him babysit my daughter."
You shouldn't.
She looked like she was at a. And I'm going to be just stereotypical. She looked like she was at like a. They might have been at like a NASCAR or or whatever, and she ain't really had no teeth.
Mhm.
So she ain't had no good health care deal. She ain't had no teeth, but she was just like, hey, it's just this whole worshiping. It didn't, they already billionaires. It's called we discussed this over the third way. They're actually doing hit pieces. They did an 8-minute hit piece on Hassan Piker on CNN,
Mhm.
and this company Third Way um, is basically some type of think tank or that's funded by billionaires that are basically fighting back and um, hitting against any progressive politicians that are for abolishing ICE,
Mhm.
universal health care, um, what the
Let's speak out against
the
Israel.
minimum raising the minimum wage,
Mhm.
pro union, uh, anti-Israel.
Mhm.
They're fighting against all that. They're bombarding all of them, so
Yep.
they don't get in office.
Yeah. And that's what I thought you were talking about a little bit earlier, because Cory Booker was one of the ones that was like, oh no, like he literally just came out and said I wouldn't go on Hassan's show or I wouldn't talk to him or anything like that. Then he went on a I think he was talking to what is uh what is the show that the Obama people have? Um man.
Michelle Obama.
No, the Obama
Oh,
the Obama
God save
speechwriter.
Pod Save
Ah,
America.
there we go. There we go. Yeah, yeah. On
Pod
Pod
Save.
Save. I think he was on. I think
They fake
yeah,
progressives.
I think he was on. I think he was on with the Pod Save bros, and
Yeah,
they, to their credit, they brought it. They were like, "Hey, like you said you wouldn't go on a Sonic Piker show, but like anytime, like you're free to like go on Fox News or you're free like to go on and speak to the conservatives. So someone within your party, like that, agrees with the issues that you agree with. You might disagree with some things, but mostly they agree with you. You're refusing to speak." And he was
right.
like, "Well,
You don't
but
want
he
to have a
said,
conversation with somebody that you
yeah."
basically probably agree with 85%
Yeah, but he said
of
he didn't
the
listen to
things.
he didn't listen to anything that he said. He said that someone asked him a question and he looked over basically over to like his chief of staff, and his chief of staff just gave him like a little rundown on who he was, basically just highlighting the things that Cory Booker would disagree with, and he was like, "Oh no, like I wouldn't even touch that." Mainly anti-Israel. So
Right.
so
But
it's no
that's
real.
this is the hypocritical shit that they do. But you so quick to be bipartisan and talk to a Republican about something.
But
This
not
was the
someone in your
problem
own party.
this is the problem that Kamala Harris had with actually reaching out to those fucking Cheneys and things like that. The bottom line is this, for the most part. Now it may actually be different. It may actually be different, and I know we've been running. We've been running on go close to almost 2 hours, so we need to. But
Yeah,
but this has been a great discussion. At a certain point, have a conversation with somebody that you have. You trying to find common ground on one issue,
yeah.
but so you can say you bipartisan, and that's how most of the time that happen when they come up with bipartisan daggone bills and things like that. It's because they can agree on one issue, but you can't have a conversation with somebody that you probably agree with 8 to 9 out of 10 issues, but we can have a conversation about the one, but majority of the time the one is capitalism versus socialism.
Yep.
Fucking with these corporations and fucking with working people. And that's a nonsense. I can't talk to you because my corporate overlord is going to cut the money off and it's going to shut me down.
Hmm.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It, it's completely crazy. And just because I know, like you said, we have to wrap this up. I just have a couple last thoughts, and you can see it. It's very blatant. But the liberals within the party, they don't have systemic critiques on the country. They have systematic critiques. So they favor the system of governance of capitalism, but they don't see a need to move on from it. They have criticism about specific policies or what's being implemented. Like just like with Iran, most elected Democrats in Congress, they're okay with regime change. They're okay with another war in the Middle East. They are okay with that because that has been within their brand. But you don't hear objections to the merit or the morality of the war. Their problem, the liberals within the Democratic Party, their problem is that Trump didn't get the congressional approval that he needs, and yet he's increasingly
He didn't
escalating
follow the
the
policy.
situation. It's legal arguments that they're making. It's not, like I said, it's not moral arguments. It's not merit based. It's on the legality of the situation, and that's so important because you should be speaking out again. The first day they dropped a bomb and killed over 100 school children, 100 of them. Then the president, something I'm going to touch on in a second, the president came out and said, basically, I'm okay with genociding this entire country. And the Democrats are just saying, but what about the process? Again, not the morale. What about the process?
That's what it is. They are big on process.
Yes.
And the fact of the matter is, you are trying to be. This was a big thing about Joe Biden. And what a lot of people don't what a lot of people don't see that this is not your father's democratic system.
Hmm.
This is not where as though um, and Obama switched on this because remember Republicans and Democrats they would fight and argue on the floor, but then they would go out for drinks and then they do a backroom deal, smoke cigars. They do a backroom deal because they had conversations and this that, and the other.
Yeah.
Nah, it used to be where as though you might have that uncle on Thanksgiving that's a little bit different and actually be saying a little bit different political thing, and then that's just your uncle you get along. Yo, families are torn apart now. There's no way in the world, literally, seriously, that somebody that is a MAGA supporter is dating a liberal. You understand me? There is no
Yeah.
more of that. What that James Carville and his wife, she did. Those Democrats and Republicans, because guess what? They both moderates, and there's no such thing as a daggone moderate uh Republican anymore.
Hmm.
They just a modern Republican is how Hakeem Jeffries is Chuck Schumer.
And
That's what
and that's the
a
thing.
modern Republican is.
The that's what it is. So going off of something I said earlier, the Republican Party has moved so far to the right that Democrats attempt to gain the center, which they think is the center, again, is them moving to the right
It's
themselves.
still right.
It's them
It's
moving
still
to
right.
the right. Because we are
Yes.
off balance because they have moved so again. But the conversation is that no, the Democrats are the ones that move so far, and like we said, they say woke, they'll say things like woke, they'll say they'll point out the progressives, they'll call them radical because what they want healthcare for everyone, like they have in 30 other countries. Why? Because they want people to be educated.
Industrial countries.
Yeah. Yes. So it's like, what are we really talking about? And the final thing that I'll say on this is that. And it's something that they talk about all the time, but 1% of Americans have more wealth than is held by the bottom
50%. The bottom 50%.
And that is not just a wealth imbalance, that is a power imbalance, especially like we had mentioned, when politics and money are so intertwined, money speaks. And when only money is concentrated within a small handful of people, then only a small amount of people have a voice, and the collective people don't have a voice. And speaking on like liberals versus progressives, you can't claim to be the party of the working class and the middle class if you support a system that is okay with 1% of the people owning basically all of the wealth, and the bottom 50% basically having not, like you said, home ownership. The median age for home ownership is 40 years old. What are we going to do? We're not going to have a country if people aren't starting families, if they're not, feeling like they're investing or they have some kind of investment to this country in the form of whether it's home ownership or, like I said, or having a family, whereas though you're really investing in the future of the country because you have a kid that's going to grow up in it. So you think about it more, and it's so funny because I did an internship with a senator a couple of years ago, and it's funny because the main people, the most progressive people that were called, were people in their 60s and 70s who were, whether it health related or just thinking they're getting old or thinking, hey, I'm not going to be here for too long, but my grandkids are going to be here, so maybe we should do something about the environment.
Then they worried about the Green New Deal.
Yes.
Then they worried about this. Yes.
About education and the cost of education. Maybe we should do something about the inability of people to buy homes. Maybe we should do something on these issues. And again, the Democratic Party, shame on them that they have to be dragged kicking and screaming to this point. If they do get to this point, and I do hope and I do think they will get to this point, because of any party, they are the most equipped to deliver on this. They are the most ready because there's already a base within elected officials, but also within their voter base that agree with these policies. They want these policies. So it's on the elected Democrats to get it done. And it's on all of us to hold their feet to the fire and make sure that happens too.
And that's the point. It's just like what I spoke earlier. It's only possible because they will be you can have a conversation and you can drag them. Something just came across my timeline right now, not 5 minutes ago, whereas though Virginia Senator Mark Warren has changed his views on universal health care. He would be what you would call a conservative Democrat, because why? He's in Virginia. So in order to be, but Virginia is moving more to the left. Even if you consider, like they say, their governor is a centrist. Spanberger is a centrist of middle of the road. But a lot, because the way it got shifted. And this is the key with Virginia. Their governors it's one term, boom, boom, boom. And a lot of times they flip. They go from Republican to Democrat, back and forth, this, that, and other. But what happened from the last government, the Republican, they fucking stripped everything and moved things so far right. Now that they pulling stuff, they have to go. You have to be so progressive and move so far to the left and pull it just to even try to get it to see. So this is a person, a government that she's actually centrist, but she has to be so progressive and move far to the left just to get things so the people can be have a certain chance.
Hmm.
But now this is the climate. The climate of the now you want to have people be like, yeah, you, that marketplace, that Obamacare, it had its issues, but damn, now that it's gone and there ain't no subsidies, shoot, that universal single payer is looking real good right about now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Probably should have got
Now,
that. Yeah.
we need to dismount. Um, so we need to get to our last final point. Our Hill said what Hill said. Um, did you have one? Because I had something comparative to what we've been talking about that actually I've been very forceful about my whole entire like I don't know existence, and I stick to. But and I don't
Yeah.
know if you had one, I could let you go first.
No, yeah, I have one, and it's something that I touched on bits and pieces of it earlier. And again, I do want to dive deep into Iran sometime in the coming weeks, because like I said, it's a
Okay.
lot going on. But what I want to touch on is brief, but it's a sentiment that I know is commonly shared amongst not just Democrats, but people like more and more people with a brain and a heart right now. But Trump needs to be removed from office, like immediately. Like I said, his mental facilities clearly aren't there right now, and Congress needs to invoke, whether it's impeachment proceedings or the the cabinet coming together to get him out of here. But that's not that again. That's not going to happen. But again, it's like, and the reason why is
You're
in
talking about the
addition.
25th Amendment for people
Yeah,
that
the 20.
don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about the 25th Amendment.
yeah.
That's when the cabinet can actually uh,
Vote to
sign a
remove.
letter
Yeah, to
and come
remove the
together
president.
and say that
Yes,
he is
unfit to serve.
unable to do the duties of his office
Yeah.
of the office.
Yeah. So in addition to implementing, the cruel and heartless policies that impacts the most vulnerable populations in the country, he's waging an illegal and immoral war in the Middle East that has killed civilians, and it will kill much more civilians, as well as it's going to kill American soldiers, and a lot of those people in the regions as well. And just as an aside, there was Iran shot down the other day. I think it was like three different military vehicles. So between like F-15 fighter
Yes,
jets and some helicopters,
but
and then they
I, I
yeah.
thought we thought the country overpowered them. Their army is no more.
I
They
we
how
we
is
when we
this
were winning,
happening?
we were winning so much and stuff. And the thing is, these machines, they cost millions of dollars,
One,
millions,
one,
millions of one. Yes, not collectively, one single
just
one,
one.
millions of dollars. So the fact that Iran, and again, and they want you to believe that these are just villagers and goat people, and it's a dirt country. No, it is not. No, it is not. Iran has taken out these $1 million fighter jets. So there was one of the fighter, they got hit. But the two people who were in the jet, they ejected from the jet. One of them was found like pretty close to after that happened. The other one had to climb 7,000 feet up into a mountain and hide in a crevice to hide from the Iranian, the IRGC, basically hiding from them and hoping that somebody came and rescued them. And it had to be a whole operation with the CIA sending out misinformation about like, oh, they were already rescued and stuff. And what it was really was a trial run to see, can we actually put boots on the ground, because they temporarily had to establish a military base for the people to go and find this other fighter pilot. They eventually ended up getting him, but they sent something like 150 military vehicles to go and try to find him. They did send a contingent of people on the ground to go and get him. And again, that is just trying to see what can we possibly do, because eventually they're going to prepare for a ground invasion. There are going to be boots on the ground. The administration, they refuse to rule it out. It will happen. again, whether Congress approves it or not, it will happen. Go ahead.
And to that point, that is why they fired the chief of staff of the army, because that is the only person, that is the person's signature that has to sign off on legally on boots on the ground.
And they're saying,
He was against it
yes,
because they know they are terminating everyone that is against it. The chief of the staff of the army was the person that would have to sign off on it. By terminating him and putting the vice chair of the army in charge, who was Pete Hegseth's assistant, not a military man. No, no respect. That person is now just a lackey. They can have the signature and they can put those boots on the ground. This is a Christian nationalist war with a uh, following Israel's lead. Don't let anybody
yep,
tell you anything different.
nope, nope. And that's exactly what it
And
is. Exactly
and
what it is.
people often say, I saw something. What is the big deal about a Christian nationalist government? That would just be great. I'm a Christian.
And a secular
I
in
would
a
think,
secular nation, where there's a separation of church and state, why would that be a
but
bad
this is
thing?
but because people are ignorant. You are fighting a government that is what? A,
A theocracy.
based on
Yes.
a religion.
Yes.
So you're cool with being a Christian nation or government, but that means then you stomp off anybody else's religion. Even though, what was the first thing put in the Constitution? The first thing, freedom of religion was the first thing.
Because we can be anything, you can be anyone you want. That was what this was supposed to be.
The first words was freedom of religion, separation of church and state. And every damn day I see in the news, and when I'm reading through the pub, they're trying to put some type of prayer or some type of back in public schools.
Hmm.
Off, they've been taking and defunding public schools for years and giving money to private and charter schools because they need to put the God back in.
Yeah. Yep. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I want to, for my part and shot, Hill said what Hill said, and I'm saying it with my chest. I want to deal with something. I was watching a video day, and I'm sorry because I don't have my iPad. I'm running this on my phone. I can't show the video, but I follow this. And I want you. I would love for people to follow this creator. It's called Black. It's a black guy who owns a poultry farm in the DMV area. And he's very progressive in his way because he believes in paying fair wages, and he actually um, deliver. It gives a good deal on his poultry, and it's not really it's for profit, but it's not. He's not gagging people with their prices, and it's called it's Black COOP, like Black Coop on all and it's a black guy named Chris. But he played the video that was on the news today about beef A pound of beef costs more than the minimum wage
Minimum wage. Yep.
at this present point. And it was some guy, and the guy who was in a cow suit said, "Well, the minimum wage has been the same since 2009 for 17 years. This is my pet peeve. I had to, and this is the crazy thing, whereas though many people y'all don't get it, and y'all shouldn't get it. I understand. I pay attention to this shit because I always do. But a lot of times with people, like for instance, my sister. I told my sister several years ago that the minimum wage was 7.25. And yes, the federal minimum wage is still 7.25. Don't get it twisted. If you may probably lived in different states and it might, or you are a professional, and I grant your aunt has been in the medical field, for
Yeah.
close to 30 years. So she's been far removed from this. So she's making money. She didn't think what the hell? What are you talking about? She laughed and she's like, that can't be right. You're kidding me. No one can live off that. Say no, it's still the federal minimum wage is
You're
still
right. No one can.
7.25.
You're right.
Presently, a pound of ground beef costs $8.34. And because the man's defense was, well, that was 17 years ago when the minimum wage was in 2009, beef was at $2.35 a pound or something to that extent. So,
Some worth 3 pounds of beef.
so three times the amount. It costs three times the amount. But let's do it. Mississippi, Georgia, South Carolina, Montana, Wyoming, 7.25. Louisiana, 7.25. And these are caveats. That's only if they actually are jobs that's designated by the Fair Labor Standards. That's 7.25. Some states like Wyoming and South Dakota don't actually have a minimum wage at all. It only comes in effect. The federal minimum wage only comes in effect if it's a job that you actually literally have to clock in with it, and it's actually with favorite labor book. So when you talk about somebody that's working on farms or working in certain things like that, there is no minimum wage. How can you
Yeah.
survive at 7.25 an hour?
Can't.
How's it possible?
You
It's
can't.
not.
Nowhere.
Nowhere. Because trickle down didn't trickle down. What happened is they kept all that. You gave them the tax breaks, and then you gave them they was able to buy 7 and 11 and 13 yachts and all these extra homes. There's no way in the world, and you're supposed to be in the richest country in the world, but there's a 7.25 minimum wage anywhere.
Yep.
But you want to use that people are lazy and people don't want to work.
Because it's easy to say that.
It's easier to say that. I know people that work three jobs. And I want to do a show, and we're going to do a show about capitalism because soon. Because I asked somebody a question. I asked you this question over the weekend, but I asked somebody. I said, "When's enough enough? Why? If you make, if you're a single person, and you make $125,000 a year, you don't have any children. Why do you have to DoorDash? Why do you have to? Why do you have to Uber?
Hmm.
What do you get? Why, how is capitalism sucked you in so much that You just want to get you chasing more and more money for what?
Hmm.
Why? When are you happy with what? And I mean that's a personal thing, but I'm about to be 53 years old, and I look at people that's in their 20s and in their early 30s, and they chasing this fucking capitalism.
Hmm.
But
Why?
what for what things? For what things are you getting? You be buying a home? You get huh? You about to get that 30-year mortgage? Because this shit is the market's not it's not there for you. Where
Nope.
at a certain point, when has the system actually just graffled you? And, I mean, on on this whole other like Jay Z thing, whereas though it's just an ultra capitalist,
Well, because
and, ju-
you see other people succeeding, so you'll
it's
say,
the
"Oh,
social media thing.
so you say, yeah, so it's
Yeah,
gonna happen." It's just like the lottery. You say, "Oh, well, other people have won, so let me go buy this ticket." That's what it is. You see other people succeeding, so you say, "Oh, so it's possible for me." No, the people, not most people,
not
not that,
no,
no, but like you don't you don't get $1 billion without fucking somebody over along the way. It's impossible. It is literally impossible. But without someone getting screwed. So whether you're screwing competitors, whether you're not paying your people, whether again you're ripping people off along the way to help you get there, or whether you are price gouging the consumer. The, that's the only way to get to that amount of money. Even entertainers or athletes who reach that status and that billionaire status, somewhere along the way, you either partner with someone who's fucking someone over or you yourself have fucked somebody over. LeBron James is a billionaire. Why? He makes a lot of money through his partnerships, obviously through the NBA. This deal with Nike is very big. It's very big. And Nike, how do they make all of their stuff? And where is all of their stuff made? All of their stuff made. Someone's getting fucked over in the process. It's not American made stuff. It's not. They make it over in Taiwan, they make it over in China, and if they bring it over here and sell it to you, even though it costs what 13 cents, $1 maybe to produce it and get it all that stuff. Yeah, but they're gonna charge you $250 for those shoes. They're gonna charge you $70 for that pair of sweatpants. Somewhere along the way, someone's getting fucked over. It's impossible for people to succeed to that amount of money. And we're talking about there's people that have $100 billion, $200 billion, and yet these are the people who are buying up what the Washington Post, who are trying to buy up CNN, who are
CNN,
who are buying
Paramount,
up.
really,
Yes, they're buying up
TikTok.
media. They're buying up the media. They're trying to buy influence. So the only voices that you hear, and you'll see, there's gonna be just like CNN, trying to doing the hit piece on Hassan Piker, just like the
That's the
Washington Post.
Ellisons.
You'll see opinion pieces coming out against any and everything because when money and capital are they own the pencils that write on the paper, when they own the voice of the country, you're going to hear what they want you to hear. And again, that's not even something new because the media's always been captured. It used to be by the people you watch. If you watch the news, look at the commercials. Most of the commercials are going to be for what? Pharmaceuticals. That's who. And that's why we don't have universal health care. Just like now, and now it's not the farm, it's going to be
This
the
why?
individuals.
Because
Yeah.
this is the only country where healthcare is a for-profit industry.
Yep.
In other countries, their healthcare is designed, it's not for profit, it's for people's health and for people positive outcomes from the health. This is a for-profit system
Hmm.
when it comes to healthcare. You ride with that because it's the system that you know. Do you know that even when you get medicated, I just found this out yesterday, and I I text Janana right away about this. If you take Social Security, and you get Medicare, you need to have a drug plan. If you don't automatically take a drug plan, the only way you are exempt from not being sanctioned for not to, is if you have a approved employer health plan that you're on. If you try to take Social Security and then later try to go get your Medicaid Part D for whatever amount of time, a year or 2 or 3 years later, you are sanctioned for that amount of time that you didn't initially get it. The only thing that is approved is an employer health plan, not the marketplace, not Cobra,
Hmm.
an employer health. This is the only system where as though the best health plan option that you have that you can do is through your employer. So you actually have to have a job, and it actually has to be um, offered through your employment.
Hmm.
These is all systems that are designed. This is about woke. When you see the system that is designed to keep you down. Do people act? Do people actually realize? Do you remember? No, you wouldn't remember. You wouldn't, because Medicare used to be free. It used to be free. When you got Social Security, you got Medicare. Your healthcare was free. Now it actually is deducted out of your paycheck, out of your Social Security check. In many ways, whereas though when I was growing, when I was a man, when I was a general manager, when you was a child born, when I was the general manager at McDonald's, because I was the general manager, my health care was free
Yeah.
completely. The company paid for the entire thing. My whole family health care. It didn't matter if you had one kid or if I had five of y'all. Free. The corporation paid for it
Hmm.
because they could. But companies stopped wanting to put out all the money.
All that money.
When you, it was the biggest thing was in Delaware. We're here in Delaware. The reason why it was a big lockup when it came to the workers. The biggest employer in Delaware, the biggest employer in Delaware is the state of Delaware itself. Back
Hmm.
in 2009, when they had the strike with teacher strike, and well, really it was a lockout. One of the driving forces, and a lot of it had to do with the economic crash in 2009. State workers got free health care before that, 100%. They didn't have to contribute a dime because that changed after 2009 because of the financial crisis.
Hmm.
There was a time, I'm just looking, this was 17 years ago. Now, it's all contribution based. These are all things that are part of the system that we live in, that people just walk around every day and it's like, it is what it is. This is the way it is. So, oh well. And it doesn't have to be because there actually is money for it. And I want to end it on this. And
Hmm.
I think I told you this. If I didn't, I was watching a report of interview of the CEO or the chairman of Goldman Sachs, and he spoke on how can we get out of this, what we had to do to get out of this crisis, about just the lack of financial security for everyday people.
Hmm.
And he just sat there literally with a straight face and told the truth. And it was so weird. He told the truth that I already knew, that people smarter than me already know, and people dumber than me should actually know that he was like, oh, we have to tax the rich. We need a progressive tax system. He's like, people like me don't pay enough taxes. It's too
Mhm.
many loopholes. It's too many things to make it where as though they're not putting into the system. We have to have a truly progressive tax system.
Mhm.
So go back to where it was in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 70s, when the corporate tax rate was above 35%, when millionaires paid basically 50% of their income to taxes, and it made it a better society. Ultimately, I think we just lost Dallas. May have. See, that's what happens when you go for daggone 2.5 hours. Oh wow. I guess might have lost him for the day. But we were coming to the end of that, and I was actually finishing up. This has been a great discussion, at least on our end. I don't know. People that listen back to this later, I mean, while you at lunch or at your cubicle or whatever, hopefully it would entertain you and you got something out of it. Um, Working out the kinks, and just really want you to rock with us and get educated and actually learn more and get more insightful on the politics in your community, the politics that's going around you, and see how the world is working for you, against you, and actually hold these elected officials accountable and actually be inquisitive enough. I, I'm yeah, I just got a message from Dale. He got kicked off. You don't know what happened, but I wanted to say, I'm gonna sign off and say good night. And see you next week. And like I said, be inquisitive. Be do do your own research and be detailed in trying to find out what is going on in your life and how they trying to pull the wool over your eyes. All right. Thank you. Good night. And we'll talk to you next week.